Good evening, my fellow RIZZ Elite members. This is Chris with RIZZ International, and this is your weekly market recap. Well, guys, we did it. We managed to push through the all-time high on the S&P 500 here on Thursday, the new high, 4249.74. We were not able to make an assault on that again on Friday, and Friday was a little bit of a doji day, not really much going on. We'll just zoom in here and take a look at that real quick. But yeah, we came in, we hit a new all-time high on the S&P 500, and then we kind of pulled back. Now, I will say we are definitely trending towards the upside right now. But, as you know, inflation numbers came out, and that was, not exactly what we were hoping to see. But, I think everybody's just kind of waiting at this point. Everybody is freaking out about inflation and things of that nature, but the market doesn't really seem to care all that much. Really just a nice, gentle uptrend here at this point. We're hanging tough in my channel that I've drawn. So obviously we have a market maker here in the chat who's been watching this. They know that we drew that line there so that they're not going to go through it. But in any case, yeah, things just kind of really a little bit slow right now. I mean, we have some up days, we have some down days, but overall, I'd say the trend is trending towards the upside. So that's definitely a good sign for markets and our long positions that we're holding currently. And so, yeah, S&P 500 making the move, made a push over the all-time high. I will say it was not an overly bullish push. We did kind of go up there and then we came back down. So we'll have to see what it can do on Monday. But as of right now, we do have a new all-time high from Thursday, and we continue to push. Now let's take a look here at the breakdown for the S&P 500. Financials taking a bit of a dip this week, kind of hanging out right here around the real estate area. These two are just neck and neck right now, currently up 29% on the year. Holy cow. Energy up 45 point almost 9%. Just wild, the moves here in this sector. Now, of course, we take that all with a grain of salt. This is just year to date at this point. But the S&P 500 itself up 15% on the year. Wish I could say that about my portfolio. Tech, healthcare, and utilities all performing well, but underperforming the S&P 500, up 11, 10.3%, and 8.2% respectively. So yeah, major push here in oil. I think we've seen this with the run up, or excuse me, not oil, but energy. But is somewhat related to oil there, with the oil price moving towards the upside, currently over $70 a barrel on crude. We closed on Friday at $70.91 per barrel. So definitely making the push higher. Now, I know that Riz said this he thought was a little bit too high. We'll have to see whether we get a bit of a retracement here in oil or not. But yeah, the push here in oil definitely coincides with this run up here in energy being, kind of catalyzing that move. And, it is, as we mentioned earlier before in the chat when we were just kind of chatting it up before we started, definitely summer is here. Travel is going on and about, and lots of more places are opening up. A lot of places are having more relaxed requirements for entry, especially if you're looking at international travel. Of course, if you are going to be traveling international, please make sure you check your connections to make sure that you have everything that you need, because it's not as easy as it used to be. Gold here really just kind of trading sideways. I know there's definitely a lot of up and down movement here, but the overall trend on gold is sideways at this point. Closed on Friday at 1876.60 per ounce. Definitely pretty high here on gold at this point. Really a beautiful double bottom bounce here off of 1680 basically. And it's been green skies ever since then. So definitely found a floor in that area, found support, and definitely skyrocket off of that. Of course, the inflation numbers are going to kind of help that a little bit. But yeah, mostly a sideways day here, or a sideways week, I should say, for gold. Not a whole lot of movement in that direction. Now let me go ahead here. Riz sent me his picks for the week. There we go. Okay, so I got 3 tickers for us to take a look at here for a potential trade this week. Now this, of course, doesn't mean that we are going to take it, but it's something that we are looking at. The first one should be a name you're familiar with, Walmart, the biggest brick and mortar store in the United States currently. Looking really nice here, finding this bounce point here around 139, making a big push. Honestly, if it can hold over this 50 moving average and conquer that 200, then I think we're looking at green skies for Walmart. Walmart, of course, did very well during coronavirus. It was one of the few places that was still open. But taking a bit of a dive here ever since about the back half of 2020, kind of a bit of a slide and really starting this nice uptrend that we're seeing here. Really, really solid move. That's a beautiful support line right there. Wow, that looks spectacular. So yeah, we continue this move up here on Walmart. If we conquer that 200 simple moving average, we should be in good shape for Walmart. Let's see here. What were earnings looking like? Let's see what the report is. Yeah, earnings were very, very nice. A 40% beat. That's spectacular. Not overly surprising, but definitely good. So yeah, earnings look to be in line. Of course, if you do hold this and we continue to hold, you will be eligible for that X dividend, which never sucks, guys. Free money is always good and dividends are nice. So no problem holding this one for longer if necessary. Because I mean, like I said, this fundamentally rock solid here on Walmart. So you're not going to have to worry about this if the trade doesn't go perfectly. Again, we haven't gotten into this one yet, but definitely looking at it this week for a potential entry. All right, let's take a look at the next one. MasterCard. All right, who wants to get some credit? MasterCard here really kind of finding support on this 90 moving average, really kind of pushing up that direction there. So if we do see that push towards the upside, we definitely can consider this one for a long. Of course, this is a bit higher dollar of a stock, so do be aware of that and be cognizant of your sizing when it comes to these higher dollar stocks. You will see typically larger moves, intraday, but if you're holding for some time, you shouldn't have to worry about it. But a MasterCard, again, another rock solid company, not going anywhere. People still using their credit cards from what I understand. So yes, Athena has come to say hi. Hi, girlie. Yes, thank you. So MasterCard, another potential for an entry here. I will say right now, looking like a bit of an issue here, getting over this trend line. Let me see if I can't make that a little nicer. Now we're talking. But yeah, if we can, conquer this descending resistance here, if we push over this in a very bullish manner, this could be a very nice move, easily taking this one, maybe even up to about the 390 area. Again, we haven't taken this one yet. It's something that we are considering this week and that we're going to keep our eye on for a potential entry. So another one to just keep on your radar. And the other one, if you have been in a leak for any period of time, this ticker should be incredibly familiar with you. Square Incorporated. Guys, I remember when Square was down here. As you can see, my lines that I had back in the day when I was trading it. So I think these lines pretty much out of the scope of being relevant anymore. So let's just take those off. But yeah, I was trading Square back here in the days when it was $60 a share. Now we're sitting at $219. Absolutely beautiful bounce off the 200 simple moving average here. Great technical play right now. We'll definitely see how it opens on Monday and later in the week. But if this bounce continues here, then this could be a very, very good entry position using the 200 simple moving average as a area of support. It is pretty well known that algorithms and hedge funds and things like that will use the 200 as an area to place their stops or their entry orders. So you will see a lot of increased volume. If you do have access to time and sales, whenever you have a ticker that approaches the 200 moving average, intraday, you will see a lot of volume. And a lot of trades go through when you hit that area. I've seen it live before. It's very impressive when it happens. But yeah, definitely an area of support and resistance. The 200 simple moving average, very, very powerful technical indicator. And that bounce here shows there is a lot of support for SQ here in this area. So we're definitely looking to make a push. Again, if you can push through these two as well, that would be spectacular. But we will be eyeing SQ this week to see if they could give us a trade. Let me go ahead and take a look here. Looks like we did have a swing trade this week on Monday in on you. All right, so beautiful technical entry here on you. Great support in this area here. A nice little bounce in on Monday at 97.39, and this one definitely making a nice push here. Haven't quite made it to profit target 1. Looks like we got really close. Did we make it there on Friday? Oh, wow. Looks like we missed it by about a nickel. 101.45 was the high on you, and profit target 1 was 101.50, but still a very nice push here on you. Really looking good. Unity Software, definitely more of a newer ticker. Hasn't been around too long. Recent IPO, looks like about last year, but really nice support that we found here in this area. So very nice technical play here. This one looking just fine at the moment. And yeah, we're looking really good on this one. This one looking very, very solid. Those guys were the trades we took. Oh, we didn't look at crypto. Let's take a look at crypto. Bitcoin. I always like Coinbase. Let's take a look at Coinbase here. Okay, so crypto really not doing much. Looks like we found support here right around 32,000 on Bitcoin. And yeah, we're trading sideways at this point, guys. There is no upward movement at the moment. Let's just put in that 32,000 resistance or support there, shall we? So yeah, it looks like Bitcoin just really bouncing off that 32,000 area. But that being said, be very careful if you're looking to get in. Let me make my line look beautiful. You know, short term, we're definitely seeing a bit of a downtrend here on Bitcoin, and we'll have to see what happens when we get to a point of convergence where we, you know, if it continues on this trend and it gets in this area here, it'll be interesting to see whether resistance or support holds. And that will depend on what direction Bitcoin decides to go. Or, you know, maybe Elon tweets something and pushes Bitcoin up a couple $1,000s. Who knows what is in store for Bitcoin? But yeah, right now, not looking so hot, to be honest with you. I would just be very careful. If you're looking to get into crypto right now, it is incredibly volatile. And yeah, a little bit of uncertainty right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on that if that is something that you're interested in. It's not something we currently actively trade or, you know, recommend that our members trade, but we do understand that a lot of people do love their crypto. They do enjoy it. And hey, you know what? If that's your thing, go for it. I'll just say that an entry right now in Bitcoin looking a little sus. We'll just say it's a little sus right now. All right, guys, so that is our market recap. I want to go ahead and open it up to the floor for questions for all of our people here live. Go ahead and type in the chat what you want me to take a look at, or if you have any questions about overall markets, things like that. I'm more than happy to help you. Guys, while our people here are typing their questions, I want to let you know we may be opening Elite membership again for a very limited time. So if you are not a member of RIZZ Elite and you want to get in on this, you want to be here on these webinars live and be in our exclusive room, then guys, you really need to get in on Elite. If RIZZ opens that up, we will definitely make an announcement. So keep an eye on it and definitely jump on that opportunity should it arise, because you will quickly make back your membership fee. I can promise you that. Nintendo. I'm not a huge fan of Nintendo myself personally. I've been more of a PlayStation person. Can you give me a ticker on that? I'm not familiar with the ticker for Nintendo. NTDOI. Oh, that's OTC. We typically don't trade OTC stocks, and you can kind of see why. Very jumpy. And I think a lot of that is because it's an overseas, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, if you want me to look at this again, we typically don't take you know, OTC stocks or things. NTDOF. Okay, cancel. NTDOF. All right, cool. Again, still an OTC ticker rather, and this is a $600 stock. I mean, definitely a nice bounce here. And, you know, let's look at the overall trend. I mean, the overall trend is up. So, you know, definitely something you could consider. Earnings look to be in line. What's the dividend on this? Pretty decent. But yeah, for a $600 stock, I would hope the dividend would be pretty decent. I mean, it doesn't look terrible. I'm not sure what is currently in Nintendo's pipeline, to be honest with you. Again, it's not a ticker that I keep an eye on. and things along those natures. But definitely something you could consider if you want to hold it and maybe get yourself in for that dividend. But yeah, definitely a high dollar stock here. So be aware that you're going to have a lot of intraday movement. Looks like it will have some pretty big swings, so you'll need to scale accordingly. I don't hate it at this point. It definitely looks like it's bouncing, and you do have a lot of technical support down here with the moving averages, so definitely something you can consider. HTBX. Eat Biologics. This is not one I'm familiar with. 764. This is what we would refer to as penny stock bullshit. Yeah, and it's behaving like one as well. I would steer clear of this. This looks like some biotech. I'm not familiar with this one, but let's look here. Kind of what I figured. Yeah, this is penny stock garbage. I wouldn't recommend trading this. You can if you want, but I don't know what this volume spike is about. Let's look here at the news. I see. So it was a trial result. So that's from over a week ago. Why the volume spike yesterday? Does anybody have a headline on that? Yeah, I'm not sure what caused that volume spike. Who knows at this point? Could be okay. It looks like we're getting an answer here from the person who asked the question. This looks like WSB pumping, if you ask me, but who knows? There may be a headline. Maybe it's just not popping up on my thing, but yeah, I would be really, really careful with something like this. When you have virtually no volume, you're looking at less than 500,000 shares traded, and then all of a sudden in one day you have almost 34 million traded. There's something going on with that. Yeah, I wouldn't trade this garbage. That's my short answer. If you do so, I recommend smaller size and don't bag hold something like this. That is a pretty good recipe for disaster. Let's go on. I see some other people typing. Cigna Corporation. All right, we got some health insurance. Beautiful technical bounce here. Holy cow. Yeah, this looks really good. If we continue this momentum towards the upside, I definitely could get behind that one, Philip. That looks like a really good. Yeah, it really is holding around that 100-day. I've got a 90 on here. But yeah, really beautiful bounce here. So that looks really solid. What are my thoughts on Target? I have several thoughts on Target. Hoo-wee, wow, you weren't kidding when you said it's been a monster this year. It is just going nuts. Let's see here. Let's get out the old measuring tool. Say from about there to where it is today, right about here. Up 30% on the year or so. That's pretty massive move. I would not feel comfortable taking it here. And the main reason is this. We have got so much space here. We would call this extended at this point because it's well extended past the moving averages. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to continue this rally up, but I will say it's kind of dangerous buying it when it's this high. Okay, so Philip says he's in a little on Cigna. I don't blame you for that. That looks like a really solid entry, buddy. It looks really good. Back to our target question. Yeah, it has been a monster this year. How are earnings? Looks like earnings were in line. Yeah, really solid. Ooh, this is one of those times where it's incredibly dangerous to buy because we're so extended. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not going to continue to run. And so it's really tricky when, you're trading something like this that is just going absolutely nuts, because the question is, where does it stop? What is the point where we roll over? And, definitely showing a bit of hesitation here after we pushed up to what I'm going to assume is the new all-time high for Target, which looks to be around 236.80, so almost right at 237. And, obviously, nope. Go away. We're not done talking about you yet. I wouldn't feel comfortable taking this here. If you really want to, I highly recommend taking much smaller size than you would typically, because honestly, this kind of looks like a little bit like Bitcoin, honestly. And it's one of those things where it goes and it pushes up and everybody's like, holy crap, this is the greatest thing. And then they're like, oh, okay, now we're going to sell. And then they get stuck holding the bag. So buying it this high is definitely a risk. And the way that you mitigate that risk is by taking less shares. You take a smaller position size. That way, if it does do like one of these, can I get it where, no, I want you like yellow. Yellow should look good. So if it does one of these things like this and it comes back down, then, you know, you've come in with smaller size, so you have extra space where you could potentially go ahead and, you know, average down to make your average price better. That being said, if it does one of those things where it's kind of like it sits like this for a little bit and then it does that, then at least you're in for a little bit and you can collect some profits on it. So my recommendation, if you are really, you know, into this, you really like the way it's behaving, then you can definitely take a smaller position size, but I wouldn't go in full size on something like this. Airbnb. Okay, yeah, so recent IPO on this one, I believe Riz spoke about this last time. Really beautiful bounce here off about 130, definitely found some support and is consolidating here mostly this week, but looks to be pushing up towards the north side. There's really not a whole lot of technical data for me to look at here just because it is such a recent IPO. So again, I would say similar situation to Target. I would, you know, maybe consider a smaller position size because if, you know, overall trend right now is down on this thing. So, you know, if we look at it, you know, even if we go kind of like this, it overall trend is down on Airbnb. And until we see, you know, a really solid break of that, then it's a bit risky here. So, you know, you definitely run the risk of doing something like this. And then maybe we come down to the ask price and then maybe it does something like that. So, or it could just continue going down. It could continue doing this, you know, a la, you know, something like HMNY or along those lines. So, you know, with this one, looks like earnings were not too hot. Yeah, pretty bad, pretty massive miss here on earnings. So, yeah, I'd be really careful with this one. I mean, it could do one of these things where it just curls up here and then off it goes. I mean, you know, it could easily do something like this. And then you'd be pretty happy that you got in here. But I'll just say it's a risky entry right now. But a lot of that, of course, is based on minimal data because it just recently IPO'd just right about at the beginning of the year. So there's not too much. You know, we don't even have a full year's data yet. We don't even have a point for the 200 simple moving average at this point. So I would just be careful on this one. If you want to take it and you feel like this is a good entry and you feel, you know, good, you know, conviction on the trade, then by all means, go ahead and go for it. But I would not go in full size on this, especially since we're in a pretty pronounced downtrend at this point. What do I think of uranium? It's hot. That's what I think it is. Energy Fuels, quadruple U. Okay, so specifically UUU for continuation and LGO for a breakout. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how energy, you know, moves forward. You know, whether we start seeing a push more towards nuclear energy or they look at different types of renewables, whether it be, you know, wind or solar or things along those lines. Now, of course, both of those incredibly inefficient at this point. Still needs some advancement, if you ask me. And of course, you're kind of dependent on the whole sun thing. So cloudy days are not good for renewables like that. Or, you know, if it's wind, we need windy days. And sometimes we just don't get those. So UUU looking really solid here. Definitely a good push, a bit extended. So kind of similar situation to Target here, but definitely looks like it found support here right around the 90 moving average and just blasted right through the 50 like it wasn't even there. So we are getting close to the all-time highs here at around 7.8. Again, this is a bit lower dollar of a stock. So just be careful. Looks like it's made a massive move here since the end of last year. So do keep an eye on that. But definitely looking like a nice push up here, a bit of consolidation. So we're kind of in a consolidation phase here between about 670 and about 750 or so. So, you know, you'll be kind of in that range potentially for a little bit until we get a push or a breakout. You want me to take a look at LGO, Largo Resources. Yeah, I mean, definitely a breakout if it pushes out over 1614 here for sure. If it does continue that bounce off the 90 there, then I think you definitely have some, you know, potential. Looks like we found really good support here right around 13, lucky 13, as they say. Yeah, this 13 area looks really strong. If the moving averages hold and continue to push, then I think you should be fine on that one, Aaron. Looks pretty solid to me. As long as we actually confirm the breakout, then we should be good. And the confirmation of breakout would be a push over 1615, it looks like. So yeah, if we get a push over 1615, 100% it's a breakout, and you can, you know, trade it as such if you want to get in early. Definitely looking like a very nice technical bounce off the 90 moving average at this point. GIL. Oops. Gildan Activewear. You know, okay, there's the Corona crash because people couldn't go to the gym, and now people can go to the gym, and so it's looking pretty good. I mean, overall, beautiful uptrend. Looks to be following the market for the most part. You know, let's look at earnings here, what the earnings report were. So if this is correct, earnings were very nice. I'd have to see the guidance on this. I'm not too familiar with the financial numbers on this one. What's the dividend on this? 15 cents a share, not too bad. So, you know, this one not looking too terrible. Definitely, you know, making a long term, you know, since the Corona crash that we had here in March of last year has been really, really solid. Beautiful gains on this and, you know, pretty impressive. Let's take a look, get a rough number. Yeah, 272%. That seems pretty good. I like that number. Can we make my account do that? I'd be totally good with a 200% gain. That would be nice. But yeah, overall trend looking really solid on Gildan. You know, activewear as gyms continue to open up and things along those lines, I think that we can consider see some continuation here. Short term, it is looking a little iffy. But you know, if you're looking to hold a bit longer, I think you should be fine. Because you won't be too concerned with the day-to-day movements of it. But yeah, I mean, short term, it's looking a little weak, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's, you know, the end all be all. Because, you know, sometimes you have things like this. So, okay, here's a perfect example, right? It was looking pretty weak right here. But, you know, even if you took it at, let's say, you know, 28.75, just to make our life easier, you held about, let's see, that was on January. This breakout here was in February, so you had to hold about a month, and then it broke out, and it's been looking really nice. So just because I show something that has a potential downtrend doesn't necessarily guarantee that that downtrend will continue. So, you know, all I'm saying is just be careful at this. If you want to enter now, it doesn't look bad, is what I'm trying to say. It looks pretty decent. It's not spectacular, but it's looking pretty decent. And, you know, overall trend is really, you know, up. And I mean, you can easily see that. I mean, that's a beautiful uptrend there long term. So, you know, if you don't mind holding this a little bit, I think you should be totally fine. Thoughts on car? I like them. Evis budget. Holy cow. What a move. This is a chase if you take this here. Look at this move on Friday. Massive move to the upside on Friday. You know, busting through what I'm going to assume is all-time highs. Let's just back it out here. Yeah, we're just going to go with it. I mean, look at that. That's an uptrend to say the least. Yeah, this looks like a bit of a chase if you take it now. That being said, it could definitely work for you. If you really want to take it here, small position size. That's going to be my recommendation here for quite some time, to be honest with you. And the reason being, unless you manage to catch it off a bounce like around this area, the way the markets are trading right now, it can be one of those things where you may get stuck in a position for quite some time. I will tell you that I've been holding everybody's favorite little darling, PLTR, for considerably longer than Riz actually alerted it. I was in it earlier than this. And yeah, I'm still holding, guys. I've been holding since probably like January. So it's rough. Sometimes, these things happen, and, sometimes you get these huge moves. I didn't capitalize on this one, if I recall, or maybe I did, and then I got back in, I think somewhere in this area, and was expecting a continuation of this, and it just didn't happen. So what can you do, right? Another one that I've been in considerably longer than most, but one that we are still holding currently long is CRSR, Corsair Gaming. As I speak, I'm using a Corsair keyboard. I have a whole bunch of Corsair stuff in my desktop, and you can tell that I'm in this because I've drawn the crap out of it. But yeah, I mean, this one I've been holding for quite some time, probably about as long as PLTR. Oh yeah, I love Corsair stuff too, Matthew. It's really solid. I need to get a new mouse, and I'm looking at a Corsair to get one because this Logitech that I got did not hold out as long as I'd hoped. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, guys, where if you take something like CAR, if you take something like this here, you may end up getting stuck in it for some time. And going in full, balls out, full position size, when you have a breakout like this, can sometimes get you in a lot of hot water. And by that, I mean it rolls over and you end up stuck holding the bag for quite some time. That's my situation with PLTR and CRSR. I have no problem holding those positions, and I have averaged down on both of them because I didn't go, nuts out with my position sizing. And I think right now, the way everything is kind of moving this way, it's very important to be cognizant of our position sizing. I think right now, unless you have really good reason to go ahead and go full position on, any given ticker, the better strategy, in my opinion, is to go half size at most. And the reason being, and you can kick yourself later if you want, but here's the thing, it protects you. Now you could say, well, you can look at some of these and be like, well, if I just went in full position size, I'd be, rolling in it, right? Okay, great. Even if you go half position size, it's still a good gain. It's one of those things. Oh, X, I know this one. We'll look at that in a minute. And I want to use this kind of as a talking point, and this will probably be the thumbnail for the YouTube video because Riz wanted this to go live on the YouTube channel. So hi, YouTube, if you're watching. But, it's one of those things, guys, where right now with how volatile the market is, how dependent it is on news stories for the most part, when we have a catalyst, whether it be the jobs report, inflation report, things like that, the market will move a lot in respect to that news catalyst as of late. And it can get you into something like this that just looks amazing, right? If you just look at this, let me get the window so it looks right. Okay, so something like this, right? If you just look at this uptrend, you're in a vacuum, so to speak. You're like, wow, this thing is just on fire. How could I be wrong going long on this? Wait, I got a better one. We're going to have to zoom way out on this one, guys. Go away notifications. And no, this actually was not a $10,000 stock. It's because of reverse splits. But if you look at this one in a vacuum like so, you're like, oh my gosh, how could you go wrong not taking this one long? It's one of those things, guys, that sometimes you have a crash like so, and it literally almost goes to zero. I mean, Helios and Matheson now trading at a fraction of a penny per share. Whereas before, this actually, like I said, because of reverse splits, they have to change the pricing here. But yeah, it was a couple $100 per share, just for reference. And it's one of those things where you just really have to be careful when you're taking things that are up so high like this. And the way that you do that is position sizing. So just be careful on that. Another question, X, this one is US Steel, if my memory serves me right, and it is. I somewhat jokingly refer to this one as the Widowmaker. The reason being because it has a pretty high intraday spread on this. Now, understand that US Steel is going to be dependent on the steel market as well. So your price is being influenced by outside forces here, not just the performance of the ticker itself. So you are going to be somewhat dependent on the steel market at that point. So just be aware of that. That being said, really nice uptrend here on the Widowmaker itself. So I don't hate it. Let me take these drawings off because they're not really relevant for our discussion right now. Let's look here. Let's do a little quick and dirty technical analysis. No, I don't want a ray. I want a line. Forgot to turn the phone off. There we go. Lightning proximity alert. Sounds exciting. All right. So just quick and dirty TA on this technical analysis. Definitely making a really nice jump here. We'd have to see if this continues. If it can push through, let's say 30, it's looking strong. I understand you don't necessarily maybe want to wait till it gets to 30. It kind of looks to me like the breakout's already happening. So you'd be chasing at this point. Not necessarily a bad thing. You can definitely make money when you chase. Just be careful. Same explanation as CAR on this one. We've already had the bounce here off the major technical level, which is the 50 moving average. And it's already making the move. So you'd be kind of like a late adopter to Bitcoin at this point. So, you know, it could work out for you. You could also get caught holding the bag. But it definitely is looking solid here since about the middle of the end of last year, since about November last year, looking really solid. I will tell you this ticker is highly day traded. A lot of day traders play in this one. So just be aware of that. You can tell that by the volume. I mean, we're looking at millions of shares traded per day. Looks like the average right now is right around 22 million. So very liquid, and, you know, it has high liquidity. It'll be easy to get in and out. So the spreads shouldn't be too bad, but I will warn you, it is highly day traded. So not that I've ever done that sort of thing. Yeah, good question. Yeah, I often refer to this one as the Widowmaker because let's just say I've seen people making a lot of money and lose a lot of money on it. And when your wife finds out at that point, she becomes a widow because you're dead. Because she killed you. That's the joke. But yeah, it does have a lot of intraday volatility. It'll move a lot, and it gaps a lot too. You can see it gapping here, you know, multiple times. So it's a dicey one to play with. So just be careful. Stock and marriage advice at the same time? Absolutely. Dude, you get it all here on webinar on RIZZ Elite, guys. So like I said earlier, if you're not a member here, RIZZ may be opening up the membership applications again. So if that does happen, make sure you jump on it. If you're watching this on YouTube on the replay and you're not a member of RIZZ Elite, highly recommend it. I know everybody here is really enjoying it. We've got a great community of traders, both men and women. It is not, you know, we're a very inclusive community. So I highly recommend, that you join us, become part of RIZZ Elite, and learn and grow as a trader together. I think that's the important thing. You're not trading just by yourself and going, what in the world did I just do? Is this a good idea? When you're part of RIZZ Elite, you have a huge sounding board of hundreds of members who are looking to help you get better and to grow, and they're going to help steer you in the right direction. And also, even though Riz is not here tonight, he's available for PM. So, if you have questions that you want to ask the man himself, the guy that the building is named after, Riz is here for you. He does try and join us on webinar as much as he can, but he had a previous engagement this evening. So we hope that he is doing wonderful. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It was great having everybody here. Great webinar, as always. Love the questions. And as always, guys, I will see you in Discord on Monday. Have a great weekend. Good night, everybody.